time is it for you?
It's about 10:03 a.m.
Oh, that's not too bad then. I always feel bad when I do these podcasts and it's from someone from the west side, not north, east, southwest, west side of the world, because I'm like, oh damn, you guys wake up way early, and because for me it's, well, right now it's 3 p.m. so it's not too bad, but sometimes I'll say, oh yeah, we'll record it at 1 or 2 p.m. my time, and everyone's so polite from your end. And then I realised, wait, that means you're going to be waking up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and recording straight away. Like, it's so, I always feel kind of guilty about it.
It's totally alright. I'm probably gonna have to fix my sleep schedule anyways. It's so botched.
Why is that? Is it just because, I don't know,
I'm a
why would that
I'm
be
a
there?
night person, so I tend to do a lot of my work at night.
Okay, I get that. There's a theory about why people are night owls and everything like that. Like, you have the early birds and the night owls, don't you?
I did not know that there was such a thing.
Yeah, so basically, well, basically a term. Maybe it's a British thing, the night owl and early birds. I don't know. I don't know if it's a British thing, but there's a and I can't remember. It's a book, but I don't read books. I'm lazy, so I do audible books, so audiobooks, and I believe. Hang on a second, I've got it in my library somewhere. Yeah, it's called Why We Sleep, and it's by a gentleman called Matthew Walker. And basically it talks about why sleep's important. And by the way, if you listen to that book, you're going to hate yourself for like not having much sleep, because you're listening to it, you're going, oh no, because I don't get much sleep either.
I
And
already hate myself for not falling asleep at a decent time
well,
anyway.
this
So
this this is the thing where he explains about different theories that people have about why we sleep at different times compared to other people. Not as in your time, my time, but why our sleep schedule might be different to our friends' sleep schedule, or our parents' sleep schedule, or our sons and daughters and all that kind of stuff. And it's really fascinating because it makes a lot of sense. There's a thing called, now I might butcher this because I always do, but there's a thing called the circadian. I think it's circadian or circadian rhythm, and it basically is about how our body reacts to daylight and how our body reacts to seasonal changes and everything like that. And one of the things is, well, this whole book's about sleep, and what I'm trying to get at is people who tend to stay up late at night, and then there's people who tend to sleep really early at night. There's a reason for it, and it was to do with when we, especially when we grew up, when we were in small tribes and we were trying to survive. Basically, what happens is, and you got to sort of think about it from that point of view, because back then we didn't have brick walls and like metal and solid doors to keep predators out. We'd have to be prepared to be attacked, basically. So what happens is, if everyone had the exact same sleeping pattern and everyone fell asleep at the exact same time, well, what would happen is your tribe would always be in danger because everyone's asleep. You get where I'm coming from?
oh yeah, definitely. Like night watch and whatnot.
Exactly. So what happens is, certain people were naturally better at staying up at night, and then some people are naturally better at, well, going to sleep early. So the reason why we have night owls and early birds is because of that. Is because part of us needs to stay awake to make sure the tribe is okay. So apparently it's in like, it makes real good sense because we are tribal in the end. We tend to do better in groups. It's how we survived. If we did it on our own, then we'd be basically screwed. So it's an interesting one to go for, from that point where you're like, oh yeah, so me sleeping late at night and then waking up later in the morning or even in the afternoon, it's not a bad thing because it's kind of natural. And obviously, there's different ways to manipulate that, but it's an interesting thing because it sort of makes you not feel as bad for being awake at like 3 a.m. Only issue is for me, Emily, my partner, for people who are just listening, she's an early bird. So I'm a night owl, she's an early bird, so it doesn't work as well for a couple who are different like that. But yeah, so just going back to what you were saying, like, it's nothing wrong with your sleep schedule as long as you're getting a good amount of hours, you know?
Oh, I usually sleep till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I just drink too much coffee.
Drink coffee?
Yeah, I've been doing it since I was very little.
Really?
I blame my mother.
Some parents do that. They get their kids to like have coffee. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of caffeine for a little body right there.
Well, I was a pretty gangly little one when I was younger. I had a lot of limbs. I was a long-limbed doctor.
Oh no! But even so, like, that kind of stuff kind of fit. And I'm such a bastard for that because I'll have a coffee before I stream at night, and that's terrible for me because it's not that I don't go sleep; it's that my body's still kind of buzzing. It's not in sleep mode because it's had that caffeine boost. So when I do get sleep, my body's still like twitching and I'm moving around a lot. And Emily says that I'm sleep talking a fair bit. I'm sleep moving. I sleep stream. As weird as that sounds.
What?
Yeah, I sleep stream. I sleep teach as well because I teach kids. But while
next thing you know, you're gonna tell me you sleep drive.
No,
that's
thankfully,
dangerous.
Thankfully not. I've heard stories of people cooking in their sleep, as in they will wake up, they'll go downstairs and they'll make themselves food. And I'm not talking like getting something out of the fridge and eating it there. I'm talking turning the oven on, turning the stove on, like getting flames going, cooking bacon and stuff like that. There's loads and loads and loads of stories about that.
That is incredibly dangerous. Meanwhile, I just sleep talk.
Sleep talking is an interesting one. Have you ever recorded your sleep talk?
No, but I have a father who's a light sleeper, and he can tell me what I say.
It's really weird when I think there's an app. And I don't know if it's the right one I'm thinking of because I downloaded an app once where you turn it on and it triggers when when you start talking in your sleep. So you switch it on, and then basically what happens is when it notices that you're either moving in your sleep or you're being restless or you start talking, it automatically records. And then you listen back to what you said, and you just listen to it going, what the fuck am I talking about? It's really creepy to hear yourself sleep talk.
It kind of reminds me, I get this sleep talking from my dad, and like he works as a mechanic. So one time my mother was laying in bed, they were sleeping, and the next thing you know, he starts talking about engines and what he has to do. And she's like awake and she's talking with him. They're having a full-blown conversation. He wakes up, looks at her. Oh, shut the hell up.
No. Wow.
No, and it was funny though. They keep saying it all the time. I always laugh. That's my family for you.
It's the thing though where things do get passed down. It's so nuts. I get my sleep talking from my sleep talking and sleep movement or whatever it is from my mother. I used to sleep downstairs. My mother would sleep downstairs sometimes just because I can't remember the exact reason for it. But when I was a little boy, I'd be obviously falling asleep upstairs, but I'd want to sometimes, because I was a night owl, I'd sneak downstairs because I wanted to watch something on the TV, and it was the Magic Roundabout was what I used to watch. But I'd had to sneak down because obviously if my mum or dad heard me come down, they'd go, oh, get to bed and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'd sometimes sneak downstairs and I'd hear my mum sleep talking, and she's talking about monkeys came up in her sleep talk a hell of a lot. I don't know why, but I specifically remember her talking about, I swear the words, no, Mr. Monkey, don't do that, came up like 10 times in her sleep patterns, in her sleep talking, sorry. So I'd be sneaking downstairs. I think she's like heard me, but it wasn't that she heard me. She just spoke in her sleep, and it freaked me the fuck out every single time. It was always terrifying hearing my mum sleep talk. And now Emily has to face the same thing for me, where I'm sleep talking.
That kind of reminded me about how you said that people pass things down onto their kids and whatnot.
Yeah.
I actually have another little thing from my mother. I don't know if you've seen my Twitter. I noticed that you follow me on. But
maybe. Tell me.
I basically have a sixth sense. I don't see dead. I'm legit.
Right, go on.
The whole mother side of the family, straight up through. Absolutely sixth sense.
Really?
Yeah.
Go on, please, North. Go for it.
I've grown up with this, and it's been natural in my family. They've talked about it normally. I've experienced like needle and thread pendulums. They were just for like, oh, how many kids are you gonna get? What's the genders and whatnot? But I've legit heard stories of like, sorry.
That fucking freaked me out. That noise just freaked me out then, because you're talking about supernatural stuff, and all I hear in your mic is creak. Oh, that's
sorry. That was my door.
I know. I just sort of like it made me go, oh fuck.
Oh, do I have some stories for you then?
Yeah, please. Like again, North, this is the first time we've ever spoke, so if you can talk about whatever you want, and I think this is the first time we spoke about the supernatural on here. So yeah, please go for it. Whatever you want to talk about.
Well, strap yourselves in. This is gonna be interesting.
Go for it.
So, I think one of the most intriguing stories was back in the day. One of the great aunts of my mom's, or great aunt. Yeah, I think it was a great aunt. She basically held like a seance kind of deal around a solid oak table. It was really heavy, and she sat at one end, 2 fingers from each hand beneath the table, like she was about to hold it and whatnot.
Okay.
And I believe like 6 or I think 3 grown men sat at the other end. They were tall, 6 foot and 200 pounds. This was also back in the day, like back in the 1800s-ish. And she said, with her fingers still beneath the table, if there are any spirits here, please lift this table. The table started to levitate.
That's hype. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I've heard, and it's been passed down that way for generations.
As in that story, or that kind of thing? Okay, that's interesting.
Trust me, if any of us could levitate a solid oak table, it would be on the news.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because like stories will always be passed down. This is something that I was watching Retro Replay with Troy Baker and Nolan North. Is it Nolan North? I think so. Anyway, and Troy Baker was talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and he was saying that the geek culture has became cool, and because of Stranger Things, D&D started to really come to become mainstream, if that makes sense. And for me, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, and I've always wanted to, but I've never.
You've never played Dungeons
I'm
and
British.
Dragons?
It's more of an American. Well, I'm assuming so, at least, but
I
Done.
have a D&D master who's British. What are you talking
No,
about?
no, I'm saying the culture's different. Like it's not as well known in it's not well known, but the culture's different in Britain, where it wasn't like very it's not that mainstream in Britain, but it is now. Whereas when I was growing up, you literally there was like a shop in where I grew up, and I think it was called a Games Workshop or something. That's where D&D took place. Basically, it was, and again, maybe I'm wrong, but it just wasn't as popular in Britain as it is in America. America is like everyone plays D&D. Everyone used to play, or everyone would secretly play it. In Britain, it was again. People who listen to this might, and if they're from Britain or England or anything like that, I might be wrong in this. I don't know, but it's something that I never got round to. I never saw it. I never had the opportunity to get into it. And maybe it was because of this. Back then, when I was a little, I was trying to be cool with my friends and stuff. I didn't think it was a cool thing to do. I thought it was like a really geeky thing, and obviously, no one wants to be a geek, so we we just wouldn't do it. But now I'm like, I hear so many people getting into it. I hear Troy Baker. Sorry, I listened to Troy Baker talk about it and how much it meant to him, and that's why I tweeted out last night, just saying I really, really want to get into it. And my point is that Troy was talking about that we are natural storytellers, and we love telling stories, and we love listening to stories and hearing people's stories about life or stories that are made up. We eat it up. And when it comes to what you're talking about in the 1800s, did you say 1800s?
Yeah, about the 1800s.
Like it's fascinating that those kind of stories get passed down, because it's what we do. You know, my family, we don't really have stories. No, yeah, we've never had real stories. We have, yeah, our family's kind of boring.
We Americans, we have a few tales and whatnot.
It's a fascinating thing, because for me, I'm a very, is it cynical? I think it's cynical. I think that's the word I'm thinking of. But me personally, I have to experience something personally to believe in it. So, for example, I don't really believe in ghosts. I don't really believe in the supernatural. I love hearing stories about it. I absolutely love it. But I'm not a believer in it, if that makes sense. I enjoy the story of it. So to hear what you're talking about is really cool. I really like listening to it. And I'd love to hear some more stuff about it, and stories and stuff what you've had in experience where you've gone through, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, it's totally fine. I mean, I can tell you about the time where my abilities started to awake.
Yeah, do it. That's awesome.
Okay, so I don't know the equivalent of the grade in your. Let's just say I was 16. I was 16 and I was on a bus on my way to the vocational school where I took my art classes.
Uh-huh.
And I started feeling this weird gut tugging. Well, actually, no, that was the second time. I'm telling it backwards.
That's fine.
The first time it was after a blizzard in 2015, I think. And our power went out, so our internet went out as well, and I was addicted to the internet, as I am today.
Everyone is.
So, the world is powered on the internet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I felt this weird gut-wrenching feeling while we were in the store. It didn't feel like I was going to throw up or I was nervous or anything. It's just like a weird tug. I didn't eat anything weird. Everything was totally fine, but I just felt this weird tug. And then this thought, and it told me the exact time and when it would happen, that when the Wi-Fi would come back on at our home. And it happened that night.
That's so interesting. That's not it's not like a supernatural or ghosts and stuff like that. Yours is a technology based power. That's so awesome.
Actually, another thing besides technology, I can kind of, in a way, I can tell who's calling on the phone before it even shows up on the television as like a caller ID.
A lot of people have that. I don't know if it's a power or anything, but that's I know many people who have that kind of intuition, or it's kind of like you think about someone and then they call. That's usually the pattern. What I hear about is like, oh, I was just thinking about you, and then you see them. It's a very interesting thing there. But yeah, please go on. I'll talk about a few things afterwards if that's cool. But yeah, you go for it. You
No,
talk
it's
about a few
totally
things.
fine. Anyways, my mother used to do that as well. Usually, even before the phone rang, she's like, "Oh," like to my dad, if the phone was about to ring, she would say, "Oh, your sister's about to call," and the phone would ring, and it was his sister, and this happened for a good while, for like over 21 years that they were married, and I don't know if he's ever gotten used to it, but I mean, he did not like it at first.
Could you imagine if she was just trying to troll him and like she contacts his sister and be like, right, call in 10 seconds. I'm just gonna quickly say what you're calling, and then just to fuck with him. That'd be so amazing if it was just all a hustle and she's doing it just to like play around with your dad. That'd be so funny. It is so interesting when that kind of stuff happens because again, cynical me goes coincidence and all that kind of stuff. But you just this is the thing. Like you just don't know what it is, and when people try to explain that kind of thing, it's difficult because you can't prove it does exist. You can't prove it doesn't exist. But it's nice to know we're very romantic when it comes to those kind of things happening. We love that kind of stuff. We love that idea that we can control our lives in certain ways, and it's super interesting to hear people's stories when it comes to that kind of thing because everyone's got a story of some weird coincidence happening. Like I said, with me, it's like, oh, you think about someone and then all of a sudden they call. Or for me, sometimes I'll be teaching my classes and a kid's not been there for a while, and you paying attention, but then you think, oh wait, I wonder where they are, and then they turn up, and it's like, oh, that's so interesting. I was just talking about you, and you can explain it in different ways. I mean, there's nothing factually accurate about it, but the idea of like everything has a vibration, and the reasons why your hand doesn't just if you put your hand on a table, the reason why it's solid and you can't pass through it is because your body vibrates at a different frequency to the table. Because if you vibrated the exact same frequency as a table, you'd be able to go straight through it. And when it comes to vibrations, that's when people feel like they have the intuition kind of stuff. So something vibrates and vibrates isn't like a you can't sense the vibration basically, but because everything has a different frequency of vibration, that's why you can sometimes guess who's on the phone, or you can sort of tell someone something's going to happen, or you can tell someone's going to turn up or contact you because a vibration happens. And it's like a better way to think about it is like you're tuning in to the radio frequency. So you're trying to tune into certain channels. I just said channels like I was drunk. Jesus Christ. But yeah, you sort of tune in to the right frequency, and then you can hear it, and then you can notice it, even if it's for like a slight moment. I don't know. It's an interesting one. But with you, has there been any other instances apart from the Wi-Fi going off and stuff? But has there ever been any other experiences you've had? It's fascinating to listen to.
I mean, I can tell the place's history by just being inside of it and not even knowing anything about it.
Do it.
Like in my house right now, I can tell that what used to be here and whatnot, and how it used to have something like farmland, and then it turned into woods, and then it became the house it is today. And I sense that even stronger with like old places. Like I went down to Salem, and that place just rocked my socks off.
It is very interesting when you do go to different places what are very old, and you enter a certain room, you enter a certain, I don't know, room, building, area, and you can just tell there's something special about it. Where you go into, I don't know, in England we have like quite old architecture, but you'll go into an abandoned castle area and stuff like that, and you walk in through and you just sort of get a weird feeling of, oh shit, stuff happened here. And it's not that you can tell, but it's we sort of react to it. I kind of feel like it's kind of reminds me of when my puppy Finn, he has certain things where we're going for walks, but his tail will be up when he's happy. Then all of a sudden his tail just drops down for no reason, like what I know of. But he just starts to get worried, and it's like, oh, you can sense something different, and I don't know what that is, but you definitely have that feeling of, wow, something's different here. There's a different, saying energy is such a I don't know what to call it, like a quotable thing. It's kind of cheesy to say energy, but there's a weird,
it's a sense.
Yeah, there's a weird sense, absolutely. For
dogs and cats and many other animals can sense when there's a spirit nearby,
well,
or strange things going on in the air.
Well, it's like cows. If you're driving, this is super random, but when you are driving and you see a field of cows, apparently, if you see all the cows sitting down on the grass or lying down on the grass, that means it's about to rain. But it's not even going to rain for like another hour, but they're starting to sit down. They are intuitive with the environment around them. So it's interesting because then I go into the magician side of things, where I'm a big fan of Darren Brown, and he'll go for people who are psychics and stuff like that, and he'll break it down of how they used to do it, and then he'll be able to do it and demonstrate exactly how to do it. Same with Penn and Teller. They did the exact same thing, where it's like, okay, well, this is how this is how we do it, this is how we break it down. I'm going to give you an example by just showing you guys how to do it. And you're watching it going, holy shit, like they're doing the exact thing that I used to think was like magical, whatever it's going to be called. But it's interesting. It's a super interesting subject. I don't know. I think I just like magic in the end. Like I like whimsical things. I like the fact that the world isn't as dull as it's put out there, you know?
That's kind of how I felt when I discovered witchcraft.
You're into witchcraft?
Yeah, I'm a Wiccan.
Oh, what? So you need to explain this, dude, because I have no idea.
Wiccan is basically the modern version of a witch. I've actually been introduced to it.
A witch with Wi-Fi.
That's a techno witch. That's a whole other deal.
Go on, explain though. I want to hear it.
But yeah, I mean, since I've learned that my family has actual this DNA from a witch from back in the, I want to say probably like the 1700s, before we crossed over to the America.
Mm-hmm.
I basically, it passed down to me, to my family, my cousins even, like my youngest cousins, they can see apparently spirits and whatnot.
Interesting.
And my aunt can tell where you're hurting, and it's all different abilities. And honestly, when I learned that my family has some sort of witchcraft magic in them, it felt like I was in a movie. I was like, what?
Oh.
It was really cool, though. I was super amused, and then I've always been interested in witchcraft and stuff, and I've always wanted to go to Salem and see what that was like, and eventually I did, and I started looking into witchcraft, and now I'm a bit of a practicing witch.
How does that work though? Because like, again, this is coming from a person who has no idea what you're going to be talking about, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, and you say you practice witchcraft, what's the results you're after? Because I just think hubble bubble toil and trouble, like the whole cauldron and fucking potion in there and all that kind of stuff. But when you talk about witchcraft, what is the end goal in the things that you do? Is it just that is it just a ceremony kind of thing, how it feels, or is there actual end results to it?
The basis of witchcraft is you're carving your own path. There is no evil or no good. It's straight neutral, depending on how you see about it. There's a lot of witches who use witchcraft for, in no way, like religious purposes. There are witches who use it for, guidance, like I do. There are witches who use it just because they're curious, and there are just some who just want to try it out, see what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know it's not the same, but there's someone I follow on Instagram, and they're into Satanism, and it's interesting because the first thing you think of is when you hear Satanism is evil, like same kind of thing with kind of witchcraft, like, oh, you think it's going to be kind of sinister, and then they sort of go, no, it's just guidelines of how to live your life. It's not do evil things. It's just a guideline, a way to live, and it's not even anti-religious or anything. It's just, here's a certain guidelines that some people put together, and if you want to lead I wouldn't say happy life, because to lead a happy life, you have to embrace the bad in the end as well. But to live a good life, you follow these certain guidelines. So to hear, and again, I don't know about witchcraft again, but to hear that it is a guidance, I like that. It's very grounded, you know?
Indeed, but then again, even in the end, we still get a bad rap because of what happened in the witch trials of 1692.
Can you explain that, please? Because I don't know.
You've never heard of the Salem witch trials of 1962?
Nope, I am British. I am uneducated. I'm a noob in all this kind of stuff, dude. Trust me. I am not that into history at all. So, yeah, go for it. Tell me.
Oh, good thing you got a history nerd up here, because I practically got a PowerPoint. I love Salem so much. It's such a great city. It's got such good vibes. But anyways, it basically narrowed down. It was just a bunch of hysterical Puritans trialing and executing lots of innocent men and women and children just because, oh, this person says that they're a witch. Oh, no, that person says that this one's a witch. Let's all hang them up on the trees. And in the end, it just hysteria.
What was what stemmed from it? Is it because of diseases and everything like that? And so we couldn't explain what?
No, it was just a couple of bratty kids being like, oh, the slave lady next door told us basically that she's a witch and whatnot, and so it started with that. And then those girls realized, wait, we could do this to the other people. We could do this to that bratty Marianne next door. And then it went on and on and on, and it just got insane.
So it was like a really savage version of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Like, you say it so often that then people start, yeah, oh god damn it. That's weird. Like, I sort of try and think of it as back then, obviously, it was full of plague and diseases and stuff like that. And because science and medicine wasn't at a certain point, they could only chalk it up to certain bad things. And if witchcraft was a thing, and obviously stories get passed down through generation to generation about witchcraft and what it stands for, that they could have that as an explanation to diseases and stuff. So instead of trying to find a cure, we go, well, if we just kill all those people, then it solves our issue, kind of stuff. That's how I would play in my mind why they'd go on a witch hunt,
Well, the reason they went on a witch hunt is because they were Puritans, which is like, I want to say a very pious, which is like really religious version of a Christian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And back then, everyone knew that witchcraft is a sin and you've been marked by the devil and such. And
Mm.
so that's how it all started.
Being marked by the devil sounds like way more fun than being an extreme Christian. Being marked by it, because I just think of I don't know if you read manga or anything like that, but there's a manga called Berserk, and there's a thing called the Curse or the Cursed Mark. It's actually in Dark Souls games and Bloodborne games, and I think a lot of what's the word I'm thinking of? Lovecraftian stuff. There's a lot of cursing going on, but in Berserk, it's a case of, yeah, when you are marked, that evil stuff just happens to you. You're just fucked, basically. It's fascinating. But what have you learned? What's your favorite bit about it then? Let's go into it, because this is such a new subject for me to listen to. So, what's your favorite part about it all?
The fact that it's really just freeing. I mean, like, I'm able to carve my own path. I was originally agnostic, then I kind of felt a bit atheist, and then I became full Wiccan because I feel like that there's a lot more to the world than just one god with a lot of angels and stuff like that.
What's the biggest thing you've learned from your experience in witchcraft?
Be careful who you talk to, in both physical and spiritual.
Do you feel like you could get taken over if you speak to the wrong spirits?
I never really talked with any spirits directly.
Okay.
I avoid that completely, but I have been doing what's known as astral projection for ever since I started witchcraft, basically.
I've heard of it. Can you explain it, though? I'm about to say people who don't know, but I don't know fully, so please explain it to me too.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the Twitch chat if they're listening, but basically you're going into an out-of-body experience kind of deal, and your spirit just does whatever. You're kind of tethered, though, and you can just explore. You can just do whatever.
And you've had personal experience of this?
Oh, plenty. Oh my gosh, we'd be here for hours.
We got time. Talk about your best one. If you can remember.
It was probably my craziest one, which is the best one.
Go for it.
I basically appeared in like an alternate dimension where it was safe to remove your head and still be alive.
Nice.
And basically clean the gap. Your head and your body was connected by a little metal disc that like locked whenever your head was on tight.
Fucking hell, alright, go on.
And you could like just simply take off your head and just clean the little metal disc if it got a little bit juicy or something, and then put your head back
juicy's
on.
Juicy's the worst word for that.
I'm sorry. It's just, I told my mother the next morning about it, and she just laughed at me. It was the weirdest thing. It was so weird. Like, the dream fluids was, like, still going to my mind, so I felt like I was still in an alternate dimension. I'm like, you don't have a metal disc in your head, do you?
Whoa, that's nuts. You start creaking, you just get some WD-40 on it. There we go, that's nice and easy now. It's like if it's a creaky door, you just go... Then put it on and then just carry on.
Get some oil in there. Don't mind the skin, no.
That'd be so cool, though. Imagine if, like, we were kind of an action figure where, we got a bad shoulder. Okay, click, pop it back in. There we go. And we're doing. Carry on. I guess that's kind of what surgery is in modern sciences, because they're getting to the point where they're going to start doing. I think they're doing a head transplant soon. I think they're working towards it. I cannot remember. But literally taking someone's head and attaching it to someone else's body.
Okay, when you said that, I literally thought to myself, like, what the hell is it? Am I going through another dimension again?
No. This is modern science now. What's weird about transplants and stuff is that because there's stories, and again, this apparently this is true. And everyone has to look it up anyway because this is me trying to remember it. But there's stories where someone gets a transplant from I don't know, let's just say a body part, and that person liked spicy food, loved spicy food, but the person getting the transplant hates spicy food. Well, then what happens is once they have received the organ or whatever it is, they start liking spicy food, and the only reason they could think of why they started liking it is because of the transplant. So it's like your body retains information and retains memories. So I swear I've heard ridiculous stories of someone have a transplant and they start being able to play the piano and some shit like that. Like really weird stuff where you take someone else's body part and then you can get their maybe memories. I don't know. I don't think it's as extreme as memories, but you get their kind of traits, if you would. So the to pass on someone's a head transplant, that's nuts to me, because then you go into the conscious and your soul, and where does the conscious actually reside? Is it?
That's a very, very dangerous
yeah
place on it.
If it works, it's sort of a checklist of, okay, well now we're starting to get somewhere with the conscious. Is it in our brain? Is it in the back of our mind? Is it up in the ether and we connect to it? We don't know, obviously. I mean, the human brain is one of the only things we don't really know. We can do as much as we possibly can, but the human brain is it's like a deep space. It's extremely hard to understand, and just
it's like a weird squishy bit of Lovecraftian antimatter.
Yeah, and that's all we know so far. It's kind of just fascinating when how much the human body can endure, what our conscious can do, and just the idea of being intuitive with certain things is fascinating to me, you know.
It's quite interesting.
It is, and I think that going into it with an open mind, that's the freest thing, because you can be very cynical to the approach and not believe in anything, and you just want solid proof and stuff like that. But there's no fun in that. It's not fun to just be going, well, this is the facts and that is it. Like, just be open to different ideas, not to buy into them and be like, yeah, I'm fully committed to that, but just to be like, oh well, this world we live in is so unique that possibilities are literally endless, and it makes life a bit more exciting for me at least. I don't know how everyone else, including yourself obviously, I don't know how everyone else who's listening is feeling about it, but I just feel like you want to make the world a colourful place, and if you can do that through imagination, through believing in stuff, through exploration of different ideas and ideologies and just stuff like that, it's great. It's really cool to do.
Back to the head transplanting. I still think that would be very difficult, because once you think about it, your brain is essentially the hive mind, I guess, or like the nerve center of your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really easily remove your nerves unless you're doing it extremely delicately, or you're gonna damage a lot of things.
Of course, and that's the thing why they're taking their damn time on this, because they need to make sure it doesn't fuck up. Because if they do it and they succeed, it's a medical marvel. But if they like misstep a tiny bit, that's it. They're done. I mean, I don't know too much about the science of it all, but just the idea that they're working towards that is fascinating, because the body itself is so delicate. It's not in a delicate as in a weak way, but delicate because there's so much detail towards it all, where if you want to remove something and attach something else, you can do it, but the intricacy of it all is insane, to the point where I wouldn't have a clue what to do. But there's people out there who know whose job it is to know. I mean, have you heard of the? Well, it's been proven now that the human body has, in a sense, 3 brains. Did you know that?
I did not, but clearly the other 2 didn't help me through high school.
It's so basically in your brain you have like a thing called neurons. I'm gonna Google it so I don't trash it completely, but and so basically neurons are kind of pathways, if I remember rightly, for the brain for information to be passed on. Again, please don't hate me, people who are listening to this video, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But
even I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. So you have neurons in the brain, but you also have neurons in your gut and your heart. Now let me just pull this up because I want to make sure I'm not bullshitting everyone. But the most recent research is saying that there's neurons in the heart and gut, and there we go, we got it. It's an article. I'm going to bring it up actually on the screen so people can sort of see it. Give me 2 seconds, dude. But I'm sorry you can't see this. I'm so sorry. But it's basically talking about how many neurons that the brain has, the gut has, and the heart has. And it's an article what's called The 3 Minds of the Body: Brain, Heart, and Gut. And basically it talks about that the gut has 500 million nerve cells and 100 million neurons, the size of a cat's brain. That's kind of fucking creepy, actually. And you got the heart as well, which has 40,000 neurons, and brain has 100 billion neurons. But basically what we're talking about is, you've heard of the phrase a gut feeling, you know?
I mean, I've had it plenty of times before, as evident.
Yeah, and then you have like, oh, you got to think with your heart, not your brain, kind of stuff. Like, you go with your heart and all those cheesy sayings.
Pretty dead in that department.
Well, it basically insinuates that what that science is backed up, that your gut feeling is an actual thing, and listening to your heart is an actual thing because they actually have neurons. They are technically brains, and it's very weird that that's a fucking thing. And that was, I don't know how long that's been discovered for, but just the idea that people would say all these sayings and they have some kind of scientific glue to it, if you would. It's fascinating to me. I love
Wait,
that.
so with cows, would they have like 7 brains or 6?
I guess so. I mean, I don't know if that's it, but you would think that, wouldn't you?
That cow's got a lot of knowledge.
But he sees into the ether. That's right. That's what happens. That's why we get abducted by aliens.
Cows are the true overlords.
True overlords. But more than likely it's because their brains are a lot smaller than ours. So it's, even though we have more brains, technically, it equates to not that much. It's like we could have like multiple brains in us, but they might just be 10 neurons. So it doesn't really matter. Like they don't really do much for us. But it's interesting to listen to that kind of stuff, and again, it makes the world that little bit more special, you know.
In the end, we are all just skeletal meat robots being controlled by a Lovecraftian entity.
Are you a believer in Cthulhu and stuff like that?
Not really. I'm more believing in ancient Greek gods and what.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite?
Probably Athena.
Can you say that again? Sorry, cut out.
Athena.
Can you explain who Athena is?
The goddess of wisdom and war tactics.
It's so cool. If I
She
was
actually kind
growing
of
up with,
is. She popped out of her dad's head when she was born, so.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember hearing that one. It's if I was ever religious and I could ever choose like gods and stuff to listen to, pay attention to or believe in, it would absolutely be them. They're so fucking cool.
That's an actual religion nowadays.
Mm.
It's called a Hellenic polytheism.
Hellenic, what? Sorry.
Polytheism.
Jesus. I'm saying Jesus in, in an ironic way there. I just realised what I just said. That's It's interesting. It's so cool. I just feel like people are trying to grasp onto stuff to help us get through this goddamn life, and if there's something that we can hold on to just to give us some kind of guidance, I think that's good. I mean, a lot of times, I think it's cool. I can't remember what it's like, but I think it's like I can't remember the phrase. I think it's going like religion. Oh no, you can be religious but not believe in a religion. So, because obviously a lot of religions cause a lot of bad stuff in the world, because obviously wars and blah blah blah. But to actually have faith in something is very grounded for people. And sometimes when people go into a solid atheism kind of way, it can be kind of sad for some people. Not always, but to have some kind of guideline using religious, I don't know what you want to call it, religious ideas is nice for some people. I personally don't. I'm not personally religious. I sort of just go by my own kind of rules. Honestly, I think a lot of my traits and guidance has come from my father. As in, just be a nice fucking person. It doesn't have to be.
In the end, at the end of the day, faith is just a way of how we feel that we can push towards that path to the light, and it can motivate us further to do good things.
It's scary as
I'm
well.
clearly not doing that with a terrible sleep schedule that I have.
Like I said at the beginning, as long as you're getting your 8 hours or whatever hours you're doing okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. All because we live in a society that you have to be waking up at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., 8 a.m., or you're lazy. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It's about what your body needs in the end, not what society needs. As up my own arse as that sounds. It's an interesting one. But what else do you do in your life then, North? Because I know you're a freelance artist, but I this is a really weird thing. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I don't know too much about you. And I was going to do like some research on you and all that kind of stuff, but I thought, no, I want you to talk about yourself. I want you to tell the people what you're about, who you are, and what you do, what you love to do, what's your interest, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, for the Stephen King fans, I live in Maine.
Ah, very nice. Very cool.
I haven't seen any killer clowns or evil guys in the steel. But yeah, Maine is actually quite a peaceful little place.
I've heard it's lovely.
Most of the places are like postcards, and the other places are just disgusting.
What else do you do then in your life?
Yeah, I sometimes watch YouTube. I sometimes play on the computer. Play on the computer. I sound so old. Oh my god.
I play the video games.
I watch the YouTubes and play on the computer.
I watch the YouTubers and do their thing. I sure like that H3H3.
Oh, you watch him too?
Yeah, of course I do. Well, actually, I haven't watched his content for a long time. I do like him though. He's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've recently found him. He seems like a nice guy.
There's so many people out there, so many YouTubers out there, and you're looking at it and you see them have like millions and millions and millions and millions of subscribers, and you just look and go, I've never heard of you, and you're the most popular person on YouTube, kind of thing. It's crazy. It's crazy how many YouTubers are out there. You know,
it's kind of funny because Maine is a rather disconnect. It's a whole other place over here. I mean, a lot of people do a lot of work and they don't really pay attention much to you.
why is that? Is it like taboo?
Nah, just a lot of people like the woods up here and they like being disconnected from society.
Disconnected to society and connected to nature.
Yeah, Maine is actually 90% undeveloped woods, so.
That's wonderful, though, right?
I mean, it can be, but then once you go into the woods, you feel like there's something else there, and it's terrifying, even when you're in a deep wood.
The idea of darkness in woods is very terrifying to me. I just had a flashback to when I was a young lad, and I was hanging out with my friends in it wasn't even the woods, it was like a field, but we wanted to go to the shops to get some, I think it was just to get, was it alcohol? Might have been alcohol. I don't know. No, I don't think it was. I think it was sweets and stuff. Anyway,
Sounds very British.
it's extremely British, trust me. But we were going down a path, and basically it was woods on either side. But we were going down it, and it was pitch black because the trees and stuff were overgrowing the skylight. So it was just pitch black, but we had our phones. When I say we, I mean me. I had my phone, and my phone had a torch. So was going down it, and then all of a sudden the torch's battery, the phone battery died, and it went completely black. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is so scary, because I could not see a foot in front of me. I might as well have just turned all the lights on, closed my eyes, and just try to guess where I was going. But I specifically remember being freaked out by it, because you just don't know what the fuck is around you. And this is England. Nothing in the woods in England is that bad. Like, you might get an owl and maybe a bat. That's it. There's nothing really scary in England. Whereas in America, you have fucking bears, and you have coyotes and fucking...
And moose.
And moose, yeah.
Those things can be terrifying. They cause a lot of accidents up here. They walk away unscathed while the car's towed.
Because they're massive. They're fucking huge.
Yeah, moose stuff all over your windshield. It's not a pleasant... Moose jump right across the windshield. Perfect for a Sunday afternoon.
I never understood how big moose were. There was a video, and I can't remember what it was. There was a person driving, and there was a moose on like the intersection, if you would, or the bit in the middle of both lanes. And they drove by it, and it was like twice the size of a car. And I just thought, fuck me. Like, it's a different world in America when it comes to wildlife. Like
definitely.
we get nothing in England. I think the wildest thing we have in England are probably, I'm going to say...
people on a Saturday night?
Yeah. Maybe the odd falcon around everywhere, but that's it. It's kind of bland. In America, you have everything. It's kind of nuts what you guys have. Cougars, that's the word I was thinking of as well. Like, I've heard stories of people going for runs, and as they're going for a run in an open field, they just get attacked by a fucking cougar. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's nice. In England, we don't need to know about that.
That's nice. That's a nice cat to run into at night.
There's a gentleman called Joe Rogan who I listen to, a comedian podcaster and all that kind of stuff. And he will run with his dog, his golden retriever, but he also has a knife with him, because if he gets if a cougar attacks him, he wants to make sure he can fuck it up, because obviously if you get attacked by a cougar and you can't defend yourself, then you're dead, or you're going to be very, very severely harmed. But England, we have it so easy when it comes to wildlife. We don't really have to worry about too much. I think there was once where a big cat was was terrorizing England or something, like a single big cat or something, and that was it. We don't really get extremes of anything. Like, we don't get extreme weather, we don't get extreme wildlife. We're just kind of bland as a place.
I'll admit, though, I have seen a moose in person, and they are gigantic.
I'd be scared.
Just think of a draft horse, but bigger.
Yeah, that's nuts to me. I just can't. I can't picture it. It's fascinating. I mean, is that the kind of wildlife
weird.
we get then? Whereabouts is Maine in America? Sorry.
It's you pull up a map. It's probably best you do.
I literally am.
Okay, it is at the upper most corner in New England.
Yeah, I see. You're top right in America, basically.
Yeah, we are northeast, hence my.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right up there then, huh? Down.
We aren't Alaskan far, but we're far.
Jesus. So have you ever been to Canada?
I have not. My parents have before they made everyone get passports and birth certificates.
Oh yeah. I've heard Canada is just the best place. I've heard amazing things about Canada.
I've actually got Canadian in me too, so.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. Probably explains why I'm really nice, but also passive aggressively harsh.
Yeah, England's we sort of we thrive off passive aggressiveness. we're polite, but then we have a little tiny undertone of "fuck you" kind of energy.
Yeah, I do that kind of to my friends too, but like whenever it comes to like hospitality, I'm as warm as a fire.
Yeah, I mean it's just being a nice human being in the end. And
again, if you're a stranger and I don't know you, but I get a weird sense off of you, I hide.
Yeah, I mean, people definitely give off vibes where you sort of talking to someone and you sort of going, I don't know about you. I'm not too sure. I've done it plenty of times. I used to do it with I'm kind of one of those guys who I can get along with everyone. I'm quite good at that. But then sometimes I have a weird vibe of someone and I'm kind of like, I don't really click with you. And it's not that we fall out or anything like that. It's just that how you're talking, what you're talking about, your energy levels, it doesn't coincide with mine. So I'll be polite and we'll talk, but I wouldn't want to hang around with you, you know? Because I don't know, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of times when it comes to especially online, people want you to get along with everyone, or they want everyone to get along with each other, and that's just not going to happen. Or if someone doesn't really want to speak to someone, or someone does fall out with someone, or someone just doesn't want to connect with someone, they feel like that's a bad thing. And for me, it's a weird one, because it's like, okay, well, I get that you want people to connect and stuff like that, but if they believe they're happier not speaking to that person, then that's it. It's not the case of there's any hate behind it. It's just a case of I do not want to be associated with this person, and that should be fine, because in the end, it's life. You know, not everyone is going to get along with everyone, and that's cool. And not everyone should get along with everyone. We've tried and make it so that no, everyone should be fine with each other. Everyone should be friendly with each other. And it's like no. That's not true. That's a utopian way of thinking, a dystopian way of thinking. Sorry, where everyone has to be friendly with each other and stuff like that. It's like you want to be a friendly person, but it's okay to step away from someone. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I had to do that quite a few times throughout my childhood.
Yeah, and it's same for
Actually,
me, by the way.
I want to hear something pretty sad.
Keep it light-hearted, but yeah, of course.
12 years of my life, or at least my childhood, was ruined by bullying.
Oh yeah. What age were you bullied from?
I It started when I was a toddler, like 2 in daycare, all the way to my last year of high school.
What age is high school for you?
It's 18 when we graduate.
Yeah, yeah. And what were the lessons what you learned from that? Because even though obviously those years of being bullied suck, do you feel like you've grown as a person? Are you stronger as a person?
I I don't know how to answer that because it caused me. I endured it so much. I tried to ignore it as best as I can, but eventually it got to me in the end, and I ended up with severe anxiety and
Yeah,
mild
of course.
depression.
Yeah, I mean that's perfectly normal, dude. Like it's okay to go through that. I was bullied, and I never was physically bullied because people knew I could kick the shit out of people. Like that's fine, but it was mentally bullied. Like call names and rumors spread about me and all that kind of stuff, and to the point where the entire school like believed in this one rumor about me, and it kind of fucked me up. Like, as in, it fucked me up my grades up. I didn't want to go to school. I'd fake being ill because I just didn't want to face school and all that kind of stuff. Um, and then when I was around about, I went through it for around about 5 years, something like that. Yeah, because I knew this is during my martial. I've been doing martial arts majority of my life, but the horrible part was like I knew how to fight, or if anyone wanted to get physical with me, I knew how to do it. But no one ever wanted to get physical with me, so I couldn't do anything. So what happens is it turned into a mental warfare, and it got to the point where I just didn't want to go to school. Like I'd get anxiety, I'd be depressed. If I was in school and I wasn't, and because I obviously get forced to go to school, I just hate it. Like super stressed all the time. Anyway, afterwards, I was around about 16, 17 at the time. I finally left that school because I graded and I graduated and all that kind of stuff, whatever you want to say. And then I went to college in England, which isn't university is what your college is in England, if that makes sense. And I just said to myself, right, I've had a fucking enough. I'm gonna make sure I stand up for myself instantly, and like I sort of went the other way and became a bit of a dick as a defensive mechanism. So I went quite boisterous. If someone's tried to speak shit, I'd speak shit way harsher. I'm not violent at all, but I would be able to stand up for myself. If that makes sense. And now I feel like I've balanced out because I am nearly 30. If I'm not balanced out by 30, it's kind of weird. If I'm still worried about stuff like that, then interesting. But it sounds really strange, and this is what I want to come on to for yourself as well. Because now looking back at what happened and all that kind of stuff, it it gave me the opportunity to help other people. So for the people who are currently going through bullying or were experiencing bullying, to be able to advise them through it, and not just from a case of you should do this, but from a point of no, I went through so many similar things to you that I totally understand what you're going through, and to be able to guide the kids I teach as well about being bullied and stuff. Even though it sucked, I am very grateful for it happening to me. Now, might be completely different for you, dude, because I don't know what your experiences are, but for me, it made me the person I am today, and I'm very happy with who I am as a person right now. You know, so it's an interesting one for me, because if I didn't experience that bullying, would I be the person I am today? Would I be able to speak to other people? Would I be able to advise other people of what they're going through? Maybe, maybe not. I will never know. But for me, I've made peace with what happened back then, because I know it's better for me, at least, to be able to do that, to the point where the people who did make up the rumors about me, the people who were mentally abusive towards me and all that kind of stuff, the bullies basically, I actually met them, bumped into them when I was on a night out, and well, obviously we were all drunk and stuff and having a good time like my other friends, but I literally went up to them and I actually said thank you to them, and they were kind of like, what do you mean? I went, because if you didn't do that, I would not be here. I wouldn't be able to help other people through this. So they sort of, it's super weird, but they sort of gave me a gift. And even though I had to suffer, it's helped me help other people. And it gets to the point where, for those guys, my experience was, once I spoke to them about it, all of them apologized to me. And it was one of those, I was like, guys, you do not have to, I will take your apology, yes, no problem, but don't worry about it, because I've grown so much from it that I am, and I get choked up just talking about it right now, like, I get emotional about it right now, because it was a horrible thing, but it made me who I am today. And yeah, it's something about it where to be able to make peace with that really helped me, instead of holding on to it and holding on to a grudge towards those people. It's like accepting and forgiving, and for me at least, starting to become grateful for it. And I don't know if you follow that path or you're on the journey of that, but it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting what happens when that kind of thing goes on. So that's why I ask you, what have you learned from it? What's the lessons have you learned? Do you take your friends a bit more, like you're a bit more grateful for the friends what you have right now, kind of thing,
I think I am a lot more grateful for my friends right now, and if anything, I kind of rethought it, and I kind of want to change my answer to what I learned.
Yeah, sure.
It's probably wisdom and learning to let go.
Totally.
Because for the longest time, I had a grudge against this one girl who used to, and she tormented me. She made my life miserable from elementary school, or when I was a child, to middle school, which is the school before high school. And she made me so miserable. She even betrayed me when I tried to become a friend with her and tried to make amends, and it traumatized me so much that I didn't trust people like her, which is, she was blonde, so I immediately marked off blondes as bad territory. Don't trust it.
Totally understandable. Yeah, I get what you mean.
And even to this day, it's still really hard for my body to let go. I've let go of the others who I've had fights with in the past. I didn't physically fight. I have noodle arms, if anything. But I learned to let those people go. But this one girl, it's so hard for me to let go. She was in the local store that I was, and that I remember one time I saw her in the local grocery store where she was working as a cashier, and when I saw her, my anxiety plummeted through the roof. And we had to go into a different line. I could not stand to be within 10 feet of her. I still had so much trauma.
You will, though. Yeah, because in those moments, it's not a logical response, it's an emotional response, and your body emotes way more than your brain, if that makes sense. So when it comes to those feelings what you get, it's not just up in your head. It's like a full body experience where you're going through these motions where you're actually sort of reliving the trauma in the past, where your body sort of stiffens up and it's like, oh fuck me, okay, there, all right. And that's something for me where I used to have that too. And then I specifically remember it as well. I remember the exact time, well, not time, but I remember the location where I was, what time it was during the day, not specifically, but I remember the exact scenario where I had that same feeling. And then I literally walked up to him and then spoke to him. And then after that, it just dissolved. It wasn't fully gone, but it started going down. So yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about, dude. It's a very, very difficult thing to get past. It really is. And there was this one point where one of the guys who I spoke to and stuff, and who used to pick on me, he I spoke. I can't remember what it was. It was actually like, it was just a couple of days later, a couple of months later, even years later, where I spoke to him, and we were just talking about whatever it was. But I remember going, "Oh, what are you doing with your life now?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm doing this." I went, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this." And he goes, "Oh, how many students you got?" And he's like, "Oh, I've got this many." Blah blah blah. Anyway, it got to the point where he started getting competitive with me. So he'd start going, "Oh, well, I charge this much," and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, I don't care." And it was really weird because it went from me like forgiving him and all that kind of stuff. It actually shifted to me thinking, kind of feeling sorry for him, because he's that insecure that he's got to compete with whatever I'm doing. And it got to the point where I started to develop empathy for the person who used to pick on me. I started feeling sorry for the person who used to pick on me. And that alone gave me so much mental power over every situation. And I remember sort of realizing it, and it sort of clicked in my head like, oh wow, I've really come a long way, where I don't need to defend myself for this person, but they're defending themselves, you know. So it was a very interesting mindset for me, where I sort of shifted the importance of them using to pick on me, where they had power over me, if that makes sense. Where I used to react as you were, where you sort of freak out a tiny bit and you're going, "Oh God, I can't handle this," and all that, to the point where I'm like, actually, I do not care, and whatever they represented in my life is completely gone, because now I feel sorry for them instead. And it's not a push them down, you're not as good as me kind of thing. It's oh, you're suffering too. You're going through something too. That gave me so much goddamn power. And it really helped me mentally. It really helped my mindset towards it all, because I don't care anymore. And I think that's why when I hear anyone trying to not the community making fun of me, is I actually love that, because it's a term of endearment for me. I feel like it's a connection to the community. I love that stuff. But if someone was trying to literally put me down, or no one can bully me now, but try and belittle me, or try and talk shit about me, or try and spread rumors about me, or try and slander my name, or whatever it is, I just don't give a fuck, because I know that they're hurting, and that if they felt good about their own things, if they felt good about their own life and what they've achieved, and they're working towards stuff what they're proud of, they wouldn't be hating on me. And when that happens, it gives me that little bit of it's okay. They can say whatever they want. Obviously, if it's public, you have to defend yourself sometimes, obviously. But as you were talking about, the power to let go of the shit, what people can talk about you and spread and all that, the power to just let go and go, no, I'm done with that, I'm separating from it completely. That's really something I took away from it all. And I feel like I've grown so much from that, and I'm happier for it, because I just, if I know they're just trying to be hurtful, I just don't give a fuck. I've grew up with it, and I think I'm just stronger for it, you know. Sorry, I've been going off on a proper tangent today.
It's totally fine. I've been kind of here just like thinking over and whatnot and listening.
Hmm.
And I think the one thing that really helped me let go was when I was in the graduation ceremony and when I was called up to be given the diploma that would help get me out of the
Hmm.
school. It was like the key to my freedom.
Wow.
As soon as I grabbed it, like the world was lifted from my shoulders. It was
Yeah.
weirdly magical.
Yeah. Going back to what we were talking about at the beginning, then, like the magical moments and stuff like that. Because yeah, I think that's the same thing for me. Once I got it's called A levels in England, but once I got my A levels and I could escape from that school, I was like, oh, cool, let's start fresh. Here we go. And then from that point, never been picked on or anything like that again, which is nice. I've been obviously on when you're becoming I'm not going to say an online presence because I'm not that big at all, but once you start going on to YouTube, Twitter, and communicate with other people, you're going to get backlash from something. So, but because I already built up my not armor, because armor's is defending yourself, and that's not healthy. But because I sort of developed a good toolkit for my mental game when it comes to hate and stuff like that, it's not affected me at all when it comes to online presence and stuff online. So I'm sort of going into this whole thing in a healthy way. I listen to people sometimes. People who are close to me, I listen to them. But yeah, if it's just people trying to spread shit, I don't care. I just don't. And it's weird when and I always feel sorry for when I see my friends who are artists and they get hated on, because it's like, because I'm okay getting hated on, I don't care, but I know that some of my friends, that shit will hurt them, you know. And I always try and make sure, God, I'm getting choked up. I make sure I reach out to them in those moments, because I don't know how they deal with it, and are they dealing with it, or has it really hit them? Because I know sometimes it does hit them. So to be that person who's there to go, hey dude, if you need to talk, I'm here. You know, I've been there in a sense. Not artist, because I'm terrible, but just being there is super important. You know, from a place of you've been there as well, not just when you advise from no experience. It's different, and it's a weird one. It's such a weird one, but yeah, I don't know. We've been speaking about this for so long, so I hope people haven't gone all sad. Listen to this.
Yeah, I hope people aren't sympathizing with me. I'm doing a lot better right now. I'm
Mm,
actually having a fantastic time right now. Things are looking up a little bit.
perfect, and it's keeping that progression if you can, and if there's a moment where you do go a little bit down, be okay with that. Embrace those emotions and then come back. You're not supposed to feel happy all the damn time, you know.
If you find yourself at the bottom, all you can do is go up.
Yeah, and I always feel like it's what's my bet? When it comes to teaching the kids and stuff, I try and say to them, like, if you go to a fairground, or you go, or say, what's the best roller coasters? The best roller coasters are the ones that go straight down the line, and they're super slow, and it's just the same thing. Or the best roller coasters are what go really fast, really slow, up and down, loop to loop, and going backwards, forwards, and all that kind of stuff. And they always say it's the one what goes crazy. It's like, yeah, that's emotion. It's not supposed to be a flat line of this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. It's to embrace the good with the bad, you know, and knowing that those good moments are going to be there and embrace them, but also not to forget to pay attention to the bad moments, because there's lessons in that. It's stuff you can grow from. if your body or mind or whatever you want to say had no need for those bad emotions, they just wouldn't exist. They exist for a reason, and that's to learn from them. I think. I don't know.
If anything, emotions help us be human.
Emotion, we are, yeah. A person without emotion is not human. They're a robot. That's pretty much the definition of a robot compared to a human. In the end, as soon as robots start to be able to authentically emote, that's different. That's when
that is when I hide from Cortana and Google.
Do you get freaked out when you're talking about certain things with your friends and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're just scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Twitter, and oh wait, there's a fucking advert for the thing I was talking about privately?
The weird thing is that I get a lot of YouTube advertisements about men's products. I don't know about you, but I don't see any masculinity on me.
No. I haven't had any adverts for female products towards me, actually. Majority of the time, the products you know what? Here's the fucker. The majority of the time, the products are sent to me are beard-related products. And I fucking hate my beard. I can't grow a beard.
I got a beard advert this morning. I'm like watching YouTube, just like, oh, I'll wait for him a little bit. And the next thing you know, get some beard gel. And I'm like, I have no beard.
I should just sit there and go, yes, I will buy this. Just for the irony of it all.
I mean, I could get it for my dad. He's got a nice beard. But I don't know if he wants to take care of it then.
I don't know. There's a certain point where you just stop caring, I guess. I don't know. I try to make do with whatever I can. What was I going to say? North, first off, what actually got you into doing art? We ain't got much time left, unfortunately, but I wanted to ask you, like, what made you get into it? Have you always done it, or what's your...
I've been doing it since I could hold a pencil, actually.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah,
God, please.
My dad actually has a picture in his work van of me drawing when I was just a little tiny type.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's really cute. Is that something you want to get into professionally? I don't know if I don't know what your status is or employment status or anything like that, but would that be something you want to get into professionally? Or?
I really want to at least become like some sort of comic book artist, and if I want to go further, maybe become like a character designer for a game or show or something.
That's nice, dude. I like that. Why though?
I just want to express myself through my art and kind of, make people happy and enjoy what I create. It's what I've always wanted through life because I was always such a small, lonely child.
I think from speaking to so many artists on this podcast, I think a lot of you have the exact same traits where in real life you're not the most eccentric, you're not the most outgoing, or not that you are blocked off or anything, but you're an introvert more than an extrovert. But when it comes to your art, you have that freedom to express yourself without worrying about other people's opinions too much, at least.
If anything, I want my somewhere where I can actually
North, sorry, North, can you say that again? You went into robot, North.
Oh, crap, we're breaking up. Okay, never mind, we're fine.
Yeah, we're good. But
I have no idea what happened there.
No, it's okay. Robots do tend to attack these conversations sometimes, but what did you say? Sorry.
I kind of want to be able to have my art to get me out of this town. I mean, there's not much stuff for me in Maine to help pursue my art other than the classes I've already took, and all the colleges here are hella expensive.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to be able to go like New York or Los Angeles or just get the hell out of here.
Just explore.
Yeah, I want to see the world.
Very
I want
nice,
to be
dude.
able to see the Pacific Ocean. I want to see Scotland. I want to see England. I just want to get the hell out of here so I can appreciate the state once more once they bury me in the ground.
Oh, God. Well, don't go to England as your last place. England can be miserable. Go to somewhere, like, pretty. England, it can be pretty, I guess, but
I'm used to misery.
go go go
State,
somewhere different.
Maine is usually like 30% cloudy and gross anyway.
Go somewhere different. Go to Australia. Go to New Zealand. Go to
I
Africa.
am never stepping in Australia. Have you seen the friggin' spiders there?
Yeah, spiders is fine. It's totally fine.
I'm an actual arachnophobe. If I see a spider within like 5 feet of me, I am climbing up.
That's so like ironic, in a sense, because obviously you do witchcraft, and all I think of if I picture a witch, it's like witch, cat, broom, spiders in the background, and spider webs and stuff like that. So the fact that you're an arachnophobe is quite funny.
Try squish spiders. We'll talk then.
Try what? Sorry.
Try squish spiders, then we'll talk.
Squish spiders.
Yeah, dead spiders, not alive. Not
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's yeah.
I'm like so. I can deal with like little tiny ones, like smaller than my thumbnail. But if they're bigger than my hand, then
I understand that. I mean,
I'm launching myself into the stratosphere.
to be fair, dude, I totally understand that. 'Cause sometimes there's spiders what are just gigantic, and again, we don't get much here, but yeah, go to New Zealand then. Go but I want to if I'm going to explore, and I say this all the time to Emily, I do not care about going to France. It's not that I don't like France. It's because it's so similar to England that I want to go somewhere completely different, somewhere where it's really hot or the weather's just yeah. I'm a heat person. Like I either want to go to somewhere where it's really really hot, or I want to go somewhere. To be fair, actually, I'm kind of a heat person, but then I'll do like snow. So I want it extreme. I want extreme heat, or I want extreme cold. That's it. I want to go somewhere different. England is such a middle part of extremes, if you would. It's not extreme at all. So if I was going to go traveling,
You
yeah,
can get plenty of snow in the winter as well as Canada.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you want to sweat yourself into a puddle of Britishness, then come here during the.
Hell yeah, it'd be good. It'd be
You'll
good.
get to enjoy lobster too. That's one of our specialties.
Oh, lobster's so damn good. Oh man, now I'm getting hungry. Thanks, dude.
Well, I'm already hungry. So.
Very nice. Now we have to basically finish, but is there anything you want to say to the audience who are going to be listening to this? Is there any advice, anything you want to say to them? Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or anything like that?
Well, first of all, hello audience. How are ya? Secondly, I'd want to shout out my bestest friend on here, Witch Angel Nakora. Go follow her on Twitter if you can. Go follow her YouTube channel. She is the light of my life. She saved me from so many bad times, and she is like a sister to me. And also, I'm accepting commissions. I've been accepting them for a while now. So if you want to commission me, hit me up on Twitter.
I'll make sure your commission info will be, the link to your commission info will be in the description below as well, dude. So where else can everyone find you then? Is it just, is it the Northeast Artist? Because I feel like
It's
your names are kind of...
Artist. It's just Northeast Artist.
That's nice and easy. So all one word. And is that on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr?
I have Tumblr, yeah. That's where I mostly...
Isn't that how you found me?
Stuff. That's where my fun side comes out.
Nice. All right.
I do have a Twitter, I do have a Tumblr and whatnot.
That's good,
Come
dude.
visit me. Come say hi. Don't be
shy. You're not going to put a spell on anyone. You're a nice witch, so it's all good. Oh, you broke up?
What? No, I'm still here.
Oh, it's alright. You went real quiet. I was like, oh god, we just broke up. All right.
Yeah, thank you again very much for having me.
No problem, dude. It's an absolute pleasure. But yeah, it was really good to talk to you. It's been a long time coming. Been a lot of here and there, and miss one and miss timings and stuff, mainly on my end. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on. It's been really fun.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
No problem at all. All right, all you got to do now is say bye very awkwardly, and that's it.
Bye.
All right, guys. Bye. 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 Bye.